tuned in to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebs and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and enthogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck, Rico Lamitte, and Nicole West, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time. Thank you for getting high at 9 with us.
Oh, yeah. Good morning. It's Monday, October 17th. Today is World Trauma Day, National Edge Day, Black Poetry Day, National Mulligan Day, and National Pasta Day. Thank you for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and especially subscribe to us here on YouTube, as well as on all other social media platforms. We're live every Monday through Friday on YouTube and audio only on Clubhouse. And if you are joining us via Clubhouse, you can also participate in the show by raising your hand if you have a brief comment on the story most recently presented. But without further ado, let's pay a quick bill so we can get right back into the news.
At True Classic OG, we live by one motto: stay true. We stay true to our legacy cut of True OG that's always fresh, piney, gassy, and delicious. We represent the spirit, hustle, and diversity of our great city of angels. And we stay true to the spirit of this plant, doing everything in-house to ensure that you get the highest quality and consistency with every batch. And that's what's made us LA's favorite OG. True Classic OG. Stay true, Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's Monday morning. We're starting it off with the dope dad himself. That's right, Rico The Meat, when he is not taking care of his children, which is all he can do right now because he hurt himself. That's right. He is on our IRL, and that is not in real life. That is the injured reserve list, anybody, in case you didn't know, because he was backpedaling so much on Safe Banking and Safe Banking Plus that he tripped over CRT and pulled his Achilles tendon. That's right. It's the Achilles heel, CRT. But nonetheless, it is my man, the dope dad himself, Rico The Meat.
All right. Thank you for that incredible intro, Jason. I don't know if I'm more for National Edge Day or Black Poetry Day. Either way, you know, there's two sides of every coin. I'm on the third, always living on the edge, brother. Thank you, everybody else, and welcome back. Thank you for getting high at 9 with us yet again. My story today is coming from the New York Post by Lois Weiss. Critics claim Cookie's mural may flout draft rules for cannabis ads. Cookies, hands down the most loved and hated lifestyle brand in the game. A New York Post article last week reported that Cookies painted signage on a burner-leased 6,600 square foot building in Manhattan's Herald Square may be in violation of draft state regulations for advertising marijuana on stores. But legal loopholes have been helping maintain illegal lifestyles in New York forever. So why does Burner have to be the bad guy here? The lifestyle company confirmed it does intend to open a store selling clothing, skateboards, accessories, legal CBD products, and will be hosting educational classes for new entrepreneurs. However, a spokeswoman for the company said the NYC Cookies location will only be selling Cookies SF clothing and CBD products that are legal in the state of New York. And this location in Herald Square will not have any THC products for sale until they are legally able to do so. Local sign critics are more concerned about the displayed choice of company name and style of logo for a cannabis company than aspiring business plans that they might have. Per the article, the word cookies, as it relates to cannabis marketing, appears to be completely forbidden under the draft regulations, as well as bright neon colors, along with words and symbols appealing to those under 21 including but not limited to any imitation food, candy, soda, drinks, cookies, or cereal in labeling, packaging, advertising, or marketing. I mean, I'm no legal expert, but looking at the mural, it seems that Cookie covered most of those things in one fell swoop. The mural depicts a cartoon image of late UK Queen Elizabeth repping Cookie's land on Pound Cake 75 strain, cartoon images of their other signature cultivars, Benihana butter, pancakes, as well as others, all food related with names banned under New York State's proposed ad rules. However, a direct response to the controversy from the state seems to show regulators, at least for now, are turning a blind eye to possible infractions. In an email statement to the Post, Aaron Geidelman of New York State Office of Cannabis Management said the office will not be issuing approvals or denials for advertising or marketing. While the proposed regulations for marketing and packaging have not yet been finalized by the Cannabis Control Board, it is incumbent of the licensed entities to ensure they are aware and fully educated on all laws, regulations, and guidelines which have been issued to comply with them. If they do not follow regulations, the Cannabis Control Board has the power to levy consequences. California operators know all too well when draft regs go out, they're always subject to change early and often, as original verbiage is refined along the way in response to open commentary periods. We even joked on our previous show about how ridiculous some of New York's initial rules were, including the ban of neon signage. In a city known for top dollar controversial ads posted in Times Square for everything from fitness gurus body shaming fat people to Pornhub literally erecting an ad telling viewers all they need is a hand. That's actually a good one right there. In a recent Forbes article, Berner claimed Cookies as the first weed brand to have an at least $1 billion valuation. The company blew up thanks to their lifestyle company ambiguity, constantly churning out popular non-cannabis products to push the brand into places others can only dream of. A genius marketing strategy from the jump, and I think it'll continue to pay dividends for years. Personally, I think it's no big deal for the legacy giant and actually a smart political move for them to force a broader conversation ahead of finalized rules. Worst case scenario, Cookies is told to take down the artwork and they'll be fined a few $1,000s as punishment. If that happens, they'll become even bigger counterculture idols and lauded for being canceled by woke lawmakers and their insatiable thirst for censorship. With Cookies NYC slated for opening October 30th, controversy like this only helps them, and any possible fines levied on them have already been calculated and set aside as part of their marketing budget, whether it's labeled as such or not. But I'm interested in hearing what everybody else thinks of this one. Will Cookies' industry reputation be tarnished for a flashy 6th Street mural, or is it just another smart PR move for a brand that's built a global cult following off hype raised through guerrilla marketing? I'm Rico Lamitte, dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News. What about you guys? What do you think?
I mean, I think this was definitely a smart move by them. I mean, it's just budgeted in for some fines, and now they're getting all this great, amazing publicity, especially from us, without even paying for it.
Without paying, it's on their building. They didn't even pay for a billboard. It's on the side of their building that they bought for their clothing and CBD products.
So this has actually caused a lot of confusion in California as well. A lot of states have regulations that specify licensing to be listed. A good example, we have a friend that has a company called Catalyst, and they have like on their sweats, they have this like list of fucking license numbers. And I think he's almost doing it to be ironic, but the regulation in California states that if you make any apparel, branded merchandise, that it must have the license number on it. And when you've got like 100 licenses, what the fuck does that actually mean, right? And so when we're having this conversation of a company that has created an apparel line, where and this has been a battle in California, so I'm imagining it's going to just continue to be something. Where does that line get drawn? Like, does Cookies have to put their license number on their fucking hoodies and their jackets and like that they're selling everywhere? I think the answer is no, because it's an apparel line. But then that backs into, should the state let them put their weed in those bags? That's my question. Like, I don't think that there's anything wrong with them putting it on the fucking wall. The backed in question is, should the state let them put their weed on that bag and in that bag? And so if they want to put it on the wall and say it's not their weed product, right? I think that's the variable here. And that's how I feel in California. I'm like, well, if you're going to say it's not your weed brand, then stop putting your fucking bag, your weed in bags that look like your hoodies.
I mean, until there's actual rules, like make your own fucking rules. And I was gonna say, to you saying
There
that,
are rules.
until you saying that Catalyst has like 100 licenses on their shit. Jeffrey Dahmer had 100 licenses too.
Ooh. Oh,
That's a really weird, fucked up comparison, and I'm
Jesus.
not even sure how that's not even funny, Rico. That's like
Well,
fucking.
so with
That's not even
a
funny.
big thing with these, a big thing with a lot of these companies is the way that the companies are formed. They're actually separate legal entities. So
Yeah.
the cookies clothing company could be a completely separate legal entity.
Oh, it
with
is.
separate ownership.
It is
And
100%.
But
Yeah,
that's
so then
not the. But when you license that brand as a part of your brand, when you
Right.
submit your packaging, you're now saying that's your brand.
I mean,
Well, no,
there's-
but that's a
there's
sub
trolling.
license. That's a sub license. That'd be like another company in another
No, but then the
state
state
getting a license.
The state should deny that if they're saying
Oh,
that
oh.
it's. That's what I'm saying. Like the state should say no, you can't put your fucking weed in those bags if it's
Well,
your clothing line.
I thought you couldn't have anything named cookies or like any of that.
Certain
stuff.
states have. New York actually
Yeah.
has the word cookies as taken up off. Certain
Oh.
states have candy.
Cereal.
Is California, Michigan, Oregon, and Washington all have the word candy redacted from packaging. So you cannot put the word candy on any packaging anywhere. You can't have a candy cane strain. Nada, nothing. But the word cookies is in a couple states as well.
You would think too that the state would try to like make this easier on operators, and if you have a whole bunch of licenses, able to consolidate all those license numbers into one license number that you would advertise as that.
Right.
Just saying, that's common sense to me.
I think it's awesome marketing for them. I think it's a great opportunity for them to get a bunch of free shit and to increase their clout. They've done it in every state already. They've done it overseas already, and that's how they've continued to increase their footprint. They're going to keep on doing it, keep on printing money.
Yeah, I think definitely going to give them some PR for this stunt, but I hope no one tries to paint over any of these more classical, older buildings. I really love beautiful old architecture, and I would hate for someone just to paint over it, just trying to get
Well,
some
that's what
PR.
the Historical Preservation Society is for, Dr. Felicia, to prevent
think-
that
Oh
from
man.
happening.
I think that Cookies knows exactly what they're doing. I think this
Yeah.
is
100.
absolutely just PR left and right. They don't care about breaking the fucking rules. It doesn't
High
matter.
level
They don't give a
trolling.
care. They're like the honey badger. They don't care.
You're
They
getting
just
all the
pay the
free
fine.
stuff for doing it, so
And we're
Exactly.
talking about it, so that's
Right.
it's nothing.
Mhm.
I don't care.
Yeah.
They got their
I
name
do
in the
thi-
post.
I do think that this kind of activity, though, in some of the more restrictive states, a good example is Ohio. There are states that will just fucking kick your shit back. And Ohio is a good example. If Cookies went with their logo to submit, Ohio for sure would kick their logo back because of the way they represent their brand as like a urban street brand that is in Ohio's mind, an adult use market that is recreational. That is not what Ohio is about. So they can be doing themselves a disservice in some markets, but nobody really gives a shit about Ohio. So
That is right. Well,
Shots
I mean,
fired.
Nevada
I
has
mean, if
similar.
you're comparing to New York and California, which Cookies is going to be a fucking dominating force, and already in Florida, like nobody gives two shits about Ohio compared to New York, California, and Florida. Like everything else could literally, like the rest of the fucking country could implode on itself with those three markets as far as cannabis market is concerned, and Cookies could never care again.
You say
You know
New
what I
York,
mean?
New York, Florida, and California.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, those three markets. If
Yep.
they're in those markets, you know what I mean. So like every
what-
other state.
But
Every
what
other state
happens?
does something
What
like
happens
that.
when we have a crazy weather that knocks off at least two of those too? Global warming, Florida.
It's just
New
not
York.
Well,
real,
Rico,
though.
you'll be dead by then,
know
so
that's
it won't
not real.
matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
It's been 20 years. It's been 20 years since Al Gore said this shit's happening. Right now, we had hurricanes out here in California last week.
Yeah,
Are we
no,
listening
I'm
to
not
Al Gore
buying none of
now?
that. I'm
Let's
not
start-
buying
Created
none
the
of
internet.
that fake
Well,
news, Rico.
in our lack of listening to Al Gore, we're gonna go ahead and segue ourselves to Jason
That's right.
Beck.
Yes, let's
Somebody
get
who
some
will
truth
never
over
listen
here.
to fucking Al Gore. Jason Beck, the longest running retailer in the history of regulated cannabis, the member of whatever political party might piss you off the most, and our very own Kaiser Brose.
Yes.
Jason, what the fuck do you have for us today?
Thank you so much, Nicole. Hope everyone is having an amazing Monday. And Gretchen, my story, I think you're going to owe me some money. That's
Finally.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Can't
right.
wait.
I have a
Yes,
feeling.
because the Kentucky governor is planning low-level cannabis possession pardons. That's right. The Kentucky governor, Andy Beshear, on Thursday announced that individuals convicted of simple cannabis possession with other clean records can apply for a pardon on the charges. WKYT reports. The announcement comes a week after President Joe Biden announced he would pardon all federal cannabis possession charges and urge governors to do the same with state charges. In a quote, he says, "Let me be clear. I agree that no one should be in jail simply because of possession of marijuana. I know the vast majority of Kentuckians demand medical cannabis be legalized, and I'm committed to keeping Kentuckians updated as we review the information and make plans to move forward," Bashir said. Bashir indicated he has asked the administrative office of the courts how many Kentuckians are eligible for relief under the plan, and that his administration is working on developing the next steps. The governor's website does include a general application for pardons and communications, but it is unclear whether officials will set up a separate system to pardon low-level cannabis possession crimes. The application requires applicants to list all previous and pending charges and convictions and their employment history, include a letter explaining why they believe they deserve a pardon or commutation, and provide a minimum of 3 letters of recommendation supporting the application. Applicants must also authorize the governor's office to conduct investigations of the applicant's history and background, including their criminal and employment records. Well, I'll tell you what, you guys all were being naysayers, and I told you there was definitely going to be one governor that did this, and he's the first governor to move on it. So what do y'all have to say about this? This is Jason Beck reporting for High at 9 News.
Jason Beck, I love how you do not pay attention to people's words. I mean, this man did not do what you said he was going to do.
He just did it. It's on their website.
I don't care what their website says. This man
website.
did not issue mass pardons.
That is a mass pardon. Putting it on the website and allowing anyone to apply for it is definitely that.
For a pardon is the exact same thing they've done in Pennsylvania, that they're doing in Nevada. Absolutely no new action has been taken. And he also went a step further to say, if you're a nice criminal with no other record, you can apply. This is bullshit, Jason. Read the fine print. I don't know you, Jack.
No. I'm collecting.
If it's on the internet, it's real.
Back me up. Did this
I have Gretchen's back on
pardons
this.
for
I have
all
Gretchen's back on
possession?
this. If we're jury voting on this one,
This is mass pardoning as far as I'm concerned.
That is not mass, bro. Hold on. As a felon, bro, that is not a mass pardon.
This is 100% a mass.
No. Fuck you. When we're talking about like actually being able to get through that, no, it's not, bro. That's not even close. As somebody who's been making efforts, like I said, Chris has tried to help me, has been helping me to get my record fucking cleaned up. That is not the same thing, bro. That is not the same thing at all. I promise
A
you.
mass pardon, Jason, would be the governor saying, everybody's pardoned. Here's my signature.
Yeah.
Get out of jail. You don't have to do anything. That is not
They
a
have
mass
to identify
pardon.
who's eligible first, Gretchen.
They're the state. They know
That's
who's
what they're
eligible.
doing.
You're
And
not
if they're in
correct.
jail,
The state does
right
not
now,
have a clue.
how are they going to apply for it? I'm just curious about that.
They're going to apply online like they apply for everything else.
They're going to get their computer access and their fucking
mail me
jail.
my check.
Yeah.
You can Venmo me. There's many options to send me cash.
Okay, guys,
What do you
time
have to
out.
say
Chris
about
wants
this,
to say
Chris?
something, you guys.
Yeah, what's going on, Chris? What do you have to say?
No, I was just gonna say it is. Yeah, happy to be helping Nicole, and it's a tough fucking process. Sorry, it's a tough process. Like it is a lot slower than what I had thought, and talked to Nicole about this months ago, and it's a super weird, difficult process to navigate. I've never done it myself, and had to, so I'm we're just trying to help, but like it's a tough process. That's all I want to say.
Can you imagine being in jail though? Like
that's kind of my point.
Computer access in jail.
They have email and they have link systems.
Very few jail access. It's not, and I guarantee you, not everybody could be eligible to apply has a fucking ability to go. Can I go get my computer hours, bailiff? Like fuck you. That's not happening. They're like, sit the fuck down.
Well, so they would be able to get the 3 letters of recommendation very easily then, right?
Get a fucking lawyer. And if you're in jail and you probably couldn't afford a lawyer before you got there, you probably don't have a fucking lawyer to help you now either.
Well, we do have Lakeisha.
It's still a step in the right direction, though. I mean, at
It's a
least
step,
they're
but
opening.
Jason's saying that
have
it was that people were gonna. Jason and Gretchen
this
have
is
a
a
bet.
mass.
The thing
This
is,
is a mass
Jason and
pardon.
Gretchen have a bet that people are just gonna start letting people out of fucking jail. And Gretchen's like, "You're insane," and I got Gretchen's back on this because that's not how it's gonna fucking go down. They're not gonna just be like, "Oh," and I'm kind of blown away that Jason is even thinking this because it was a Biden initiative. So like that proves to me that this motherfucker deep down inside actually is a Democrat. But
No,
like, we won't talk about
that is
today.
total fake news.
Oh,
Total
that's
fake
not
news.
quite
But we do have
Blue blood.
Lakeisha up from the audience in Clubhouse to add something onto this. What do you have for us, Lakeisha?
Hi, Jason. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, Jason, I know you want to say that this is a mass pardon. It's not. I have to agree with Gretchen. And let me tell you why. I've worked on the front and back end of getting people's records cleared. I've done post-conviction exonerations, those folks who were in prison in Dallas. And you know Texas gives you like a lightning rod to the electric chair. So getting these folks out is a lot harder. And with this pardon process, whenever you say you have to apply, that right there is a barrier. And Gretchen's right on this. I mean, they barely have access to law library during certain hours. So many times they have researched their case, they've gotten all of their information, their papers, and what happens? A CO just go ahead and toss their cell, toss all their materials. I mean, they had to call us for more copies of their records just to be able to try and figure out how to get out of prison. So they don't have that access. And then for those on the outside, for them to have to apply as well, not everyone has access to technology. I mean, they may have their phone, but if they have to go through like maybe go into a library, do they have a library card? To get a library card, you need a state ID. If you don't have a state ID because of God, what knows restrictions you have on you, it's just another barrier. So if they're going to do this pardon process, they need to just go across the board, contact those folks who actually have those convictions on their records and do a mass pardon. And just don't even worry about a whole application, because that whole application process, like she used the example for Nevada, if you're doing record sealing, you have to file a petition. You have to pay all those fees and all those costs. Those are barriers to people getting this off of their record and actually moving forward with their lives.
Oh yeah, thank you, Lakeisha. I still think it's a mass pardon, but whatever.
And
Gretchen,
I will back the statement. When I was in jail, they fucking threw away all my papers, and luckily I had one phone number memorized, and then I had that person give me everyone else's phone numbers so that I could rewrite them down again. But I had all my shit thrown away while I was in jail with my fucking phone numbers so I could call people while I was in jail. So like that is not fucking outside of the possibility. And like, you have your case number memorized. Like how the fuck are you gonna fill out the paperwork? Like you need a lawyer.
Since cell phones blew up, like how many phone numbers can you remember now?
I two. My dad's 10. Number and my lawyer, and I only remember my lawyer because I'm a fucking felon.
I remember all the cell phone numbers that I've never stored in my phone.
Gretchen, I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. Do you think that governors could do like the mass pardon quietly and then maybe just tell folk after the fact? Because I understand that there's this thing called politics, and people don't want to seem like they're soft on crime and things like that. Do you think a governor who's truly interested in doing this could just do it quietly and then let the press know about it?
No, absolutely not. And another thing that I think is disingenuous about what the president proposed, that all governors should follow his lead, is a lot of governors cannot follow his lead based on their state constitutions. They just can't issue mass pardons. It's not how it works. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's all been a political thing. And then I think the whole prison system, I mean, is just so corrupt. And the lobbying money behind that, they're not letting people out of jail just for kicks. Trust me, there's a lot more people in jail on the state level for possession than were on the federal. No one was in jail on the federal level. So
I thank you for saying that, Gretchen, because it's going to mean a whole lot more coming from you than me.
Oh, what percentage of prisons are private in America? Does anybody know?
What percentage of
prisons are private? Yeah,
I'd say maybe like 30%.
I think it's more than that. I think it's like 60.
40. I'm going to say 40.
I'm going 30.
40, 30, 60.
Private prisons incarcerated Americans in 2020 representing 8% of the total state and federal prison population.
See, we were both way off.
Let's keep this party. Let's keep it moving here.
Jason's wrong.
Jason
Send
is
me
never
money.
wrong. Jason is
Yeah.
never
Send
wrong.
me money.
No,
Yes.
no.
All right. So, as a felon, the woman formerly known as Jail Google dedicated her life to paying the knowledge learned in the cold Colorado cell forward because she never wants you to end up in the same place. She's now a Long Beach-based agriculture, efficiency, and compliance expert and self-described general data bitch. Up next, it's no other than Nicole West. What do you got for us? Happy Monday.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy Motivational Monday, everybody. My headline today is coming out of Canada, and it's from Benzinga, where Uber Eats begins cannabis delivery in Toronto via Leafly partnership. So I will say, I want to start by saying, this is the first time that I've ever been like, weed maps, look out. Leafly's coming for that ass, because a partnership with Uber Eats, I think, is potentially one of the more interesting pivots that I've seen in the ability to get cannabis delivered to your home. So starting Monday, October 17th, Uber Eats will begin delivering cannabis in Toronto, the company announced on Sunday. In a partnership with cannabis website Leafly, this will be the first time that the cannabis has ever had delivery available on its major third-party platform. Uber Eats will start delivering to customers in Toronto from the retailers Hidden Leaf Cannabis, Minerva Cannabis, and Shiva's Rose. We are partnering with industry leaders like Leafly to help retailers access safe, convenient options for people in Toronto to purchase legal cannabis for delivery into their homes, which will help combat illegal market and help reduce impaired driving, says Lowell Kassim, general manager of Uber Eats Canada, reported in the Global News. Uber Eats isn't completely new to the cannabis business. Uber Eats users have been able to order cannabis products for pickup, like Tokyo Smoke Store, since November of 2021, but the partnership did not allow for cannabis deliveries. Naturally, the consumers need to be 19 years or older. This is Canada, everyone. In order to use the Uber Eats app, where they can select cannabis as a category or search one of the participating cannabis retailers. When the delivery arrives, the consumer's age will once again be verified along with their sobriety. I've always been curious about the sobriety verification part of any sales process. That one I hope we talk about a little bit later. So Leafly has been empowering the cannabis marketplace in Canada for more than 4 years, and they support more than 200 retailers in the GTA, and they are thrilled to work with Uber Eats to help licensed retailers bring safe, legal cannabis to people across the city, said Yoko, the CEO at Leafly. Weed deliveries became a thing in 2020 during the pandemic in Canada, when Ontario temporarily allowed cannabis shops closed to the public to deliver orders to customers' homes. That policy was made permanent in March, albeit with stipulations from the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario, which oversees the province's cannabis regulations. Same app, different service. They want to make sure everyone understands. As such, the Uber Eats delivery people bringing food to one's home will not be the same as the one making the weed drops. Cannabis shops will need to hire and train their own staff to deliver the orders placed through the Uber Eats software per the AGCO, which I actually think that makes a ton of sense. I'm very excited to see this happen. I've been calling it, and I knew it was going to come here pretty soon. I've done some work with people who used to be executives at Uber in cannabis specifically over the past few years in the public markets, and I've been hearing a lot of buzz about what was going to happen when Uber started making deliveries, and I knew it was coming. I just didn't see them partnering with Leafly, and like I said, Weed Maps is the first time I've ever thought it. Leafly's coming for that ass. And I'm Nicole West, getting high at 9 with y'all.
For those people who are starting up businesses with delivering cannabis, do you think Uber Eats is just going to purchase those people, or they're just going to start working for Uber?
So the way that it's working is same way that Uber Eats works for food, except you have your own drivers. So it's just the technology. They're not doing anything other than being the technology platform. Ease tried to do something similar in California when they first started by creating a platform, but the regulations were like, no, you have to be the business. Canada allows for there to be a third party. I think Colorado's system currently has kind of a third party delivery model as well. So I think that might work out as far as regulations concerned. But obviously state by state, it would be different. But I'd say in Canada, it'll probably just work the way that it is now because it's, federally legal there. So it'll just exist like a restaurant. And I would say maybe at a certain point, once it's so accepted that they'll just treat it the same way that they do alcohol, because you can buy alcohol from those apps too.
I think the federal postal service in Canada actually delivers weed too.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they do.
That they do. But all they do is deliver boof ass weed. So now you can get a boof meal and boof weed all at the same time.
Canada has some good food, bro. Like, don't talk shit about their food. You can,
I'm
they're pretty serious about their ingredients too. Like, they're not a big preservative, like fucking tainted ass.
Have you had poutine? Is that how you
Poutines
pronounce it?
Poutines are the best, bro. Poutines are the shit.
How about Canadian bacon? I think they probably just call it bacon.
I think it's just ham.
It's just ham
I
up
get really
there.
confused about that. I get confused about
Yeah.
that. But would you order? I mean, I order delivery weed from random delivery companies when I'm traveling. I think it would be so. I mean, I think, like I said, Weed Maps has been our only option for that for so fucking long, you know, and the way that the Weed Maps app interfaces, it's really easy. So the idea that now we're like, I don't even need that. I go straight to fucking Uber Eats app. I mean, that's dangerous. And I'm like, man, California, whoever gets the Uber Eats contract in California, because it changes the game, because logistics is the problem, right? Like when we're talking about getting from point A to point B, when we're allowing there to be a network of drivers, the way that we can have for food and alcohol, rather than that driver have to work for your establishment, it creates such more efficiency. It's the reason why these restaurants are even able to afford delivery, right? So like, no, Dr. Felicia, I don't think people are going to buy it. The businesses or Uber's going to buy them. I think they're just going to operate as a technology platform, skimming their like 1 to 5 to 7% off plus their delivery fees. And once you get that would change the game on access. It really would.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what's so novel about this. I mean,
because
you can get delivery already in California.
Because you can, but you can. It's very short distance, and you have to have delivery drivers, and you have to have everything. Uber Eats has a network of people. Right. So there's thousands of drivers. And they're terrible, and they're terrible at it, and their softwares are bad, and their logistics are bad. And so I'm saying
I disagree. I've used Nice Guys Delivery whenever I'm out in the San Fran area, and they are very nice, very easy.
There's a few that are good.
Hold on a second, Gretchen. You don't even smoke weed. You don't even smoke weed.
Gretchen, you barely get a vote on California. You barely get a vote
by smoking, but I do use other products.
Oh, like topicals?
Yeah.
Tinctures.
For the record, she only said she doesn't smoke. She only said she does not smoke.
Tinctures and topicals.
There's nothing wrong with topicals, Dr. Felicia. Aren't topicals a wonderful thing?
I'm not saying that they're not.
Yes, they are.
I'm not saying that they're not.
I haven't used ibuprofen in years. I love my topicals, and the only place I can get my Aunt Zelda's is from Nice Guys Delivery. Aunt Zelda's, she's the best.
Oh boy, we do have Anna Mead. We do have Anna Mead up in Clubhouse. Has a brief comment on this. What do you have for us, Anna?
Hi, thank you. This is a great topic. I've been seeing Uber Eats advertise liquor sale. And we'll deliver after our at-home happy hour. So they've been heavily into the alcohol space where I'm at. What happened in Massachusetts is kind of interesting, though, and it'll be interesting to see how this rolls out, because what Massachusetts did is they made the social equity space be delivery only for the first 3 years. So it'll be interesting to see how this rolls out in the face of what Massachusetts tried to do with social equity.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Anna.
Interesante.
Oh, yeah. Well,
commercial time.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me, bro. It is about that time for a commercial. Flying into LAX and you want to taste some of the best weed in the world? Then stop by LAXCC, the closest dispensary to LAX, located at 8332 Lincoln Boulevard and open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. Always make LAXCC your first stop when you touch down in LA and score like a winner. And don't forget to tell them I sent you and mention you'd like to get Hyatt 9 for 10% off your full order.
The thoughts and opinions and general shade thrown on the Hyatt 9 News are those of individual speakers, not those of any other speaker or its followers. The statements made do not constitute legal or accounting advice, and our speakers make no representation regarding the legal status of any substance in a country, area, territory, or its authorities. Views expressed in this room do not establish fiduciary relationships. Sponsors do not imply constitute the endorsement by us, expression of any opinion whatsoever, any person or any speaker on stage. If you're easily offended person, the show is probably not for you. Also, maybe you should put some topicals on that.
Oh, that was cute, Nicole. I saw what you did there. But on October 23rd and 24th, join Bella Flora for their celebrity golf and poker tournament with confirmed attendees like NBA star Derek Fisher, formerly of the LA Lakers, celebrity chef Todd English, David Justice of the Atlanta Braves, and Paul Pierce, plus many more, with a portion of proceeds benefiting the nonprofit Freedom Grow. Join Bella Flora in Temecula Creek, California, October 23rd and 24th. Go to www.bellafloragolf.com for full sponsorship opportunities.
Coming up next, she's well known in certain DC circles for cooking up excellence and baking delicious treats. But don't let that apron fool you. She's still a feisty redhead conservative with proven long-form Mayflower roots. Highly questionable love for safe banking, but I give her a pass because she's all about them topicals, baby. Coming up next, the founder of Panoptic Strategies and our very own Washington insider, Gretchen Gailey. What you got for us today on this beautiful Monday morning?
Good afternoon, Rico. My headline is coming from Marijuana Moment. The DEA proposes dramatic increase in marijuana and psychedelics production in 2023 for research. The DEA wants to more than double the amount of marijuana that can be legally manufactured for research in 2023, and it's also seeking to significantly increase the quota for the production of psychedelics like psilocin, LSD, and mescaline. In a notice set to be published in the Federal Register next week, DEA proposed growing about 6.7 million grams, or 14,770 pounds of cannabis. The agency's final marijuana quota for 2022 was 3.2 million grams, and it was 2 million grams for 2021. Growing that much cannabis may be easier since the DEA finally authorized additional manufacturers at the beginning of the year. Those approved cultivators are now able to apply for a contract to be federal marijuana suppliers for study purposes under the National Institute on Drug Abuse. DEA has also consistently increasing the production goal for psychedelics in recent years as more states and localities have enacted reform and interest in their therapeutic potential has boomed. The proposed quota for psilocybin is the same in 2023 as it was in this year at 8,000 grams, but it's looking to double the manufacturing of other key ingredients in so-called magic mushrooms, psilocin, from 4,000 to 8,000 grams. There has been a significant increase in the use of Schedule I hallucinogenic controlled substances for research and clinical trial purposes. The DEA has received and subsequently approved new registration applications for Schedule I researchers and new applications for registration from manufacturers to grow, synthesize, extract, and prepare dosage forms containing specific Schedule I hallucinogenic substances for clinical trial purposes. For LSD, the agency's 2023 quota is 1,200 grams, almost triple the 500-gram production level for this year. Further, it wants 6,000 grams of 5-MeO-DMT versus 2,550 in 2022. The DEA is also proposing to dramatically increase how much mescaline is produced from 100 to 1,200 grams. That psychedelic, which naturally occurs in peyote and cacti, is sometimes excluded from the decriminalization proposals out of concern about over-harvesting, threatening supplies for indigenous communities that use it ritualistically, but it can also be produced synthetically. These proposed 2023 quotas reflect the quantities that the DEA believes are necessary to meet the estimated medical, scientific, research, and industrial needs of the United States, including any increase in demand for certain controlled substances used to treat patients with COVID-19, lawful export requirements, and the establishment and maintenance of reserve stocks. Additionally, the agency upped the quota for all other THC from 2,000 to 15,000 grams, which may reflect the growing interest and marketing of intoxicating cannabinoids and other than Delta-9 THC, such as Delta-8 and Delta-10. While those lesser-known cannabinoids aren't currently classified as controlled substances when derived from legal hemp, the agency said that it supports regulated research with Schedule I controlled substances as evidenced by increase proposed for 2023 as compared with aggregate protection quotas for these substances in 2022. It goes on to talk a bit more, but we have seen recently that a number of research bills and legislation have been proposed by many people in Congress, and research has become a big part of getting anything moving. So I see this as a wonderful thing that the DEA is starting to look at getting more cannabis from their providers. I just hope that they are all a bit better than the University of Mississippi. This is Gretchen for, who are we? High at 9 News.
The University of Mississippi,
Identity crisis.
is that Ole Miss the same thing?
Yes.
No.
That's not the same thing. Ole Miss
The
isn't the
University
University
of
of Mississippi.
I don't
No,
think
they're
Yeah,
two different.
I think University of Mississippi is Ole Miss because
I
there's
think,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it is.
I'm pretty sure.
Let's
I
Google.
think.
I think this is great news because so far all of the science applied to psychedelics has been that they are non-toxic, not harmful, and in fact incredibly beneficial, especially in the realms of neurogenesis and neuroprotectivity.
What is neurogenesis?
Right. So neurogenesis is the brain's ability to build new neurons and new neuronal connections. And when MAPS got together with Johns Hopkins University to do this psilocybin study on terminal cancer patients, one of the things they did is they put them into MRIs while they were high on psychoactive doses of the mushrooms, and they found increased neuroconnectivity, like their brains were just lit up and super connected, with the exception of I'm a little high, the one part of the brain that is responsible for filtering incoming sense information that tends to get blood shunted off, right? So one thing they're doing is they're super connecting your brain together, both hemispheres and all your neurons, but then they've also been shown to create neurogenesis. And if you look at the work of Paul Stamets, he suggests that all human beings take a sub-psychedelic threshold of psilocybin-containing mushrooms, as well as non-psychedelic lion's mane mushrooms, because these two mushrooms work together to repair the brain.
Why the fuck are lion's mane mushrooms not psychedelic? I think that's a huge missed opportunity.
We gotta jump on this. But University of
yeah.
Mississippi is in fact Ole Miss.
Another one for Gretchen.
Well, one visit to this office is sure to get you access to all kinds of blue pills. All shapes, sizes, and colors are always included and welcome in this safe space. She's the Plants for Life CEO and dual board certified physician, always promoting cannabis as medicine. And if you play your cards right, she'll mix some yellow ones with your blue ones to make a greener experience. That's right. Coming up next is none other than the Dr. Felicia Dawson.
Thank you so much for that, Jason. Happy Monday, everyone. My story comes from the Washington Post. British Crown blocks Bermuda's cannabis bill, straining ties, by Amanda Coletta. The idea was to bring Bermuda's drug laws into the 21st century. The cannabis laws in Britain's oldest overseas territory harmed Black Islanders disproportionately, Attorney General Kathy Lynn Simmons said, and represented the stain of colonialism. So the government in this Atlantic archipelago of 64,000 people approved legislation to liberalize the code. All that remained to enact was the assent or approval of the governor, the British monarch's representative in the territory, usually a formality. Some 3,300 miles away in Mother Britain, there was a problem. The Foreign Secretary had concluded that the bill would put Britain in violation of international drug control treaties that forbid signatories from permitting the recreational use of cannabis. And so Rana Lalji, the crown-appointed governor of Bermuda, said last month she had received an instruction issued on Her Majesty's behalf not to assent to the bill as drafted. The denial came despite warnings by Bermudian Premier E. David Burt that it would destroy the territory's relationship with Britain. It has sparked worries about a constitutional crisis and charges of undue interference by London in a territory where talk of independence has long ebbed and flowed. A.G. Simmons said the decision was disappointing but not surprising, given the confines of our constitutional relationship with the UK government and their archaic interpretation of narcotic conventions. If not surprising, it was unusual. Peter Clegg, a professor of politics and international relations at the University of West England, Bristol, said he couldn't remember another instance in which a territorial governor has withheld assent from a bill approved by the local government. It's a very controversial step, he said, because it goes to the heart of a territory's autonomy and democracy. Lynn Winfield, the Secretary of Citizens Uprooting Racism Bermuda, has a name for it. I think it's a form of new colonialism, she said. Momentum to legalize cannabis is picking up speed around the world. Recreational use of the drug with some restrictions is legal in countries such as Canada, Mexico, and South Africa. Germany's coalition government plans to join that list. In the United States, federal law prohibits the possession of cannabis, possession or use of cannabis, but more than a dozen states and the District of Columbia have legalized recreational use. And President Biden this month announced plans to pardon anyone convicted of a federal offense for simple possession of the drug and urged governors to do the same at the state level. Bermuda decriminalized their personal possession up to 7 grams of cannabis in 2017, but stopped short of legalizing the drug. Bert's Progressive Labor Party won re-election in a landslide in 2020 on a platform that included a pledge to liberalize cannabis laws still further. The government says its cannabis regime could help fuel the post-pandemic economic recovery while addressing systemic racism in the territory amid a broader hemispheric reckoning over the sins and legacies of colonialism. When Simmons introduced the bill, she said laws barring cannabis use had been used by the territory's colonial government and the police during the civil uprising in the 1960s and 1970s to quell that disquiet and to systematically criminalize Blacks on the front lines of the racial progress movement. If Black lives truly matter, she said, you should not hasten to recognize, deconstruct, and reform laws, institutions, and systems that are racialized and harmful to Blacks. The unjust colonial legacy of our local laws has not been fully dismantled. Many other jurisdictions have liberalized their cannabis laws, including Canada, a Commonwealth realm in which, like Bermuda, King Charles III is head of state, are in contravention of the UN treaties that Britain is worried about, said Damon Barrett, a lecturer at the University of Gothenburg in Sweden. When Simmons introduced the bill, she acknowledged that its provisions would go beyond the treaties, what the treaties allow, but it would be disingenuous, she said, for international bodies to sanction Bermuda for easing its cannabis prohibitions when it has rebuked, but not punished, countries such as Canada. The article goes on to say how London has intervened previously in its territories by seeking to recognize same-sex marriage and abolishing the death penalty. This article does a great job, in my opinion, of pointing out some of the parallels between how the war on drugs was used to keep Black people under control, not only in America, but in Bermuda. I think that Bermuda should proceed with its adult use program and dare the UK to do something about it. This is Dr. Felicia Dawson reporting for the High at 9 News and Opinion Show. Audience members and fellow correspondents, what do you think Bermuda should do?
Thank you so much for covering this one, Dr. Felicia. This is very, very, very important, very timely with all that's going on in the world, and especially with the death of the Queen recently, and all the nations, all the Caribbean nations rebuking Prince, the Prince and Princess Kate Middleton and them going over there, man. Like, fuck them, do your own thing, emancipate yourself. Like, fuck all that colonialism. Sorry for my language, but yeah, fuck that.
That was the most public emancipation I think we've ever seen.
Yeah,
that was real.
Straight up rebuked. Get the fuck out of my house.
We also have Nicole Buffon, who also has been covering articles like this for us on Clubhouse. What do you have to say about this, Nicole?
I just want to say, Bermuda, do what you know is right for your people. It just blows my mind how the Crown continues to try to flex its muscles in territories that are not in England and places that they blatantly have were colonialized. Like, it doesn't make any sense. That they've done to these places and these countries that do not belong to them. I don't see how the citizens of England find this acceptable. And they can't control what's happening in England, so they have to flex their muscles in other places and on other people that don't have as much power. And it's a shame.
Nicole, I think at this point, is a lot of it's willful ignorance, straight up. It's like they know it's fucked up, but it's like, oh yeah, it's just the way the things are. It's just the way it is. Piss me the fuck off. Just keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Let's keep it rolling, bro.
All right.
Keep it rolling.
1 second here. Who got next? Chris Eggers.
Yes.
1 second, y'all. Sorry, I got on my soapbox there. Our next correspondent is a fellow dope dad who decided to trade in his issue gun and badge for a blunt and a notepad. When not on stage reading the weed news with us, this former cop's a security consultant for CC Security Solutions, dedicating each day to improving your chances of survivability. Rather than waiting on safe banking to pass, as some others believe is more effective solution, he's coming to the stage next, Chris Eggers.
Hey, thanks for the intro, Rico. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday, everybody listening. My article is very short, but it's teeing up to something I want to chat about. City announces, this is out of Rochester, New York. City announces community input sessions for cannabis zoning laws. Rochester City Council member Mike Patterson announced community input sessions to discuss the city of Rochester's proposed cannabis zoning. He says, quote, "We all know that the past enforcement of cannabis laws negatively affected many of our most challenged neighborhoods. In light of that, I want to be certain our new zoning regulations related to the legal sale of marijuana are in keeping with the needs of the community. Mayor Malik Evans has proposed changes to the Rochester zoning code regulating cannabis dispensaries and on-site consumption lounges." And then this article talks about 3 different dates and locations where community members can provide input. The reason I brought this up is because last week I attended and was invited to the California Cannabis Control Regulation Codes and Enforcement Expo in Sacramento, where there was just a ton of really cool speakers. I want to highlight a couple of them that presented. Reginald Byron Sawyer Jones, Senior Assembly Member, District 59, spoke. There was a great, unfortunately, this was toward the end of the day. This was my biggest complaint of day one, was that the social equity was titled Next Steps in Social Equity Program Design and Evolution was at the end of the day. I wish that was right before lunch. But, you know, given that there's input from the community, this city, Rochester, is looking at how to change the zoning laws and what, you know, various effects that has on various community members and stakeholders. I thought it was really interesting to be able to attend this conference in Sacramento, where it was like municipalities who kind of figured it out or think they figured it out were coming together, and there's municipalities that haven't figured it out, that want to figure it out. And it was really cool just to listen to all the different speakers. One, most notably, West Hollywood was there talking about their consumption lounges and their robust program. Really, really interesting, but it was a really cool expo to have and be a part of and listen to the different conversations. So that article about out of Rochester really jumped out at me coming off of last week's expo. So I think it's really important that, you know, more of these things are happening and obviously more input rather than cities just saying, hey, this is what we want to do and this is how we're doing. And I think it's obviously extremely important that they're taking input from the community and various stakeholders, especially folks within the industry who want to either get into the industry or expand their current operations. So that's what I wanted to share this Monday, and happy to discuss about, you know, the expo last week further. I know we're tight on time, but it was really cool. Dr. Monty Brown out of City of Los Angeles spoke on a really cool panel about social equity that was moderated by Dale Sky Jones out of Amsterdam. That was, I think, the highlight for me was the day one social equity presentation. Thanks for letting me speak today. Happy Monday, everybody.
Thanks for covering this, Chris. A big shout out to Rochester. They got a great cannabis community out there, and I'm so glad to see the live evolution, as Jason calls it, of Mayor Malik out there, because he was totally prohibitionist about a year ago.
Exactly.
That is all about them tax dollars.
Got to get that bread, yo. Got to get that bread, son.
Want to keep it moving, Jason?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, shout out to Amsterdam and my man Big Kush J, repping Rochester heavy. Has a lot of fun out there last year.
All right. Here we go. Here we go. He's a cannabis wizard doing his damnedest to continue the work of the Merry Pranksters in the Brotherhood of Eternal Love. Alongside the Hogwarts PhD and Trippin' Balls, this co-host of What's Good, the Cannabis Flower and Hash Review Show, and host of Radio Free Earth podcast, boasts over 33 years in the game for sales, genetics, cultivation, and whatever else goes on in the weed world. That's right. It is none other than the Matthew St. Germain.
Hi, all. Happy Monday. And I shaved all my hair off so you can't see my 33 years in the game. So my story is pretty serious. This is out of the LA Times, and there's a new details show a sprawling web of corruption in Southern California cannabis licensing. As a California lawmaker called for a statewide task force to crack down on corruption in the legal cannabis market, new details are emerging in a bribery scandal that has ensnared local government officials from the Inland Empire to the San Gabriel Valley and Southeast Los Angeles County. So it's about all of them. Federal prosecutors have unveiled 2 plea agreements that detail pay-to-play schemes involving cannabis business licensing and corroborate allegations that was in a Times investigation last month that examined how legalization of weed unleashed a wave of corruption in California governments. In one of the agreements, former Baldwin Park City Council member Richard Pacheco admitted soliciting bribes from weed businesses, including $150,000 from a consultant working for a local cannabis distributor. The consultant declined, but at the direction of the FBI, delivered campaign contributions requested by Pacheco, the agreement said. The agreement doesn't name the distributor, but its description of the dates the firm was awarded the exclusive right to distribute cannabis matches only one company, Rukli, R-U-K-L-I, Incorporated. Never heard of them. In the other plea agreement, a former San Bernardino County Planning Commissioner, Gabriel Chavez, admitted acting as an intermediary to funnel bribes from pot businesses to Pacheco as part of the scheme. Assemblymember Christina Garcia asked State Attorney General Rob Bonta in writing Thursday to create a task force to examine corruption in local cannabis licensing and ensure that cities are awarding permits without favoritism. Also in response to the Times investigation, Assemblymember Reggie Jones Sawyer said he planned to request a state audit on cannabis licensing. The Times identified more than a dozen government officials statewide who received income ranging from thousands of dollars to hundreds of thousands of dollars from cannabis companies or had interests in weed businesses while still in office. I think this is really important. They go on to talk about no bid contracts in a lot of these places and how basically people are using bribes and campaign contributions to circumvent the no bid contract process. And I don't really know that this is something new, but the spotlight on cannabis is allowing us to see the type of corruption that exists in government currently. And it's really easy to see when you see every single, lawmaker, including Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who was a waitress and now is worth, multiple hundreds of thousands, almost millions of dollars within just a couple years of being a Congress member. So what do you all think?
Oh man, I'm so glad you called out the AOC on that.
I mean, I'm not against dancing on rooftops. You know what I'm saying?
So the idea that like this is unique to cannabis is crazy if anybody thinks that, but when you look at agriculture as a whole, the amount of like bribes that have happened in the past like 10, 20 years as we've become more conscious of pesticides and different chemicals, that is a big thing happening in the US. Like there's like a Sun Diamond, like US versus Sun Diamond, which is like the largest fucking almond. Everyone who thinks like almonds
Blue
are
Diamond.
a good answer, or Blue Diamond, yeah, bro. Anybody that thinks fucking almonds are a good answer is fucking crazy. Like that, but in order to keep this propaganda and all this shit going, they're like juicing all kinds of politicians every which way to get the water and the this and that. And like, don't talk about the almonds being worse than the beef and the weed and all the things. Like they're literally doing all this shit. And so to think that it's, that it's not going to happen with cannabis would be stupid. But like, I was saying earlier, this is like the fucking pulling the string on the sweater. Pretty soon someone's gonna be fucking naked because this is not. It's just and it's not one politician. It's never one politician acting in like nefarious fucking mustache twisting. It's like a gang of them.
But
Pelosi and the
everybody.
Well said.
Pelosi and the other members of Congress have continued to shelve the resolution to prevent insider trading as well.
Of course they did.
Of course they have, because they're all insiders trading on the game.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly right.
Well, the same thing is
shady.
Yeah, same thing's happening in Georgia. This corruption, lack of transparency is what's
Dr.
cut us off at the knees. We still can't get a program up.
It's like impossible to
win.
It's
Say again?
impossible to get through the process of like actually getting our businesses legitimate though if this is something that's continuing to happen. You know what I mean? Like it just keeps putting like it stifles our ability to get to the bag, and every day it's not helping our reality of descheduling, this whole thing, because now we're going to spend time fucking investigating a bunch of corruption ass bullshit, and like we're still not we still can't protect ourselves on a federal level against these businesses. We can't fight, or against the government, we can't fight back in the same normal way that a normal business could fight back. We don't have that ability.
But we do have Joe Biden releasing us from prison.
The barriers to entry are already extremely high, as people listening and commenting are aware, and to have to then battle corrupt politicians is disgusting.
What we say to those corrupt politicians?
As
you're fired.
Anyway, as
vote.
That's right. Yes, that's right. Vote, get involved.
As a reality for the industry, though, like the more we do shit like this. But the bigger part that I think about is it's not like legacy people. It's not us that has the money to fucking bribe politicians for the most part. You know what I mean? It's the people that showed up. Exactly. It's the big businesses. It's big ag showing up.
It's whoever wants to.
It is true.
How much did that mayor go for in that town in California? Like 10 grand.
Oh well, yeah. But in the way of like the bigger bribes,
bribe anybody.
You're not wrong, because there's some broke ass fucking people, but in the way of like big money bribes, when we're talking about like big fucking backdoor deals, those aren't things that legacy industry has the money to do, right? Like we're doing baby
because we have to pay too much taxes in 280E.
Right. We're doing baby grabs.
There are legal ways to bribe and corrupt. How do you think AOC got her money? There's ways to do it.
Yeah,
you just need someone to tell you how.
What I was asking was,
I thought this is by taxing the rich.
Is Herschel Walker going to be winning? You think he's going to win? What's the noise?
No, I don't think so. The women in the state are going to surprise y'all. Just watch.
He's gonna win. He's gonna crush.
No, he's matches for everybody.
He's gonna run through that election.
Nope, the women are gonna save us.
Hey, Chris Eggers, what are your comments on Herschel Walker's badge? Go.
Wait, say it again. Herschel Walker.
Oh, I don't think he even saw it. Yeah, no props allowed.
Oh,
no props allowed. But I have this badge right here, guys.
I got this badge right here.
Yeah.
Rico said,
"Hey, he did amazingly well. I was expecting him to totally bomb on that debate.
Dude,
yeah, he did. He crushed
that
debate.
cereal
All
for
right,
brains.
all right.
Come
Well,
on, bro.
Thanks,
cookie cereal?
guys.
For what I was
Guys.
expecting, he
Hold
crushed
on. No
it.
one cares. No one cares about that anymore. It's the end of our show. Thank you so much. Very appreciative of everyone for tuning in. Thank you all for getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily, and big shout out to the haters for still talking about us. Huge thank you to True Classic, Bella Floor Golf Tournament, and LAXCC for helping us keep the lights on, to the correspondents for being amazing, and to Cannabis for giving us a reason to do this. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us.
Bye, all. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
You are tuned in to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebs and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and enthogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck, Rico Lamitte, and Nicole West, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time. Thank you for getting high at 9 with us.